Welcome to Livestream AI, where we dive deep into the future of innovation and intersection of AI and real-world business challenges. I'm your host, Mayrak Hamza. Our guest is someone whose career reads like a blueprint for visionary technology leadership. Kayode Aludusi, Aluduse, Aladesuyi is the
That's
CEO of
correct.
my. I'm sorry about that. My name gets trampled on sometimes. I'm going to keep going. Is the CEO of My AI Robotics, where he's not just building advanced AI and robotic solutions, he's shaping the ethical frameworks that guide them. From managing NASDAQ traded companies to pioneering commercial GPS technology published in the New York Times to deploying life changing SaaS platforms across continents, Coyote has built products that impact millions. His work spans developing the first emergency system in Nigeria, integrating GPS with RFID, and leading innovations that merge security, efficiency, and positive social change. Cloudy, it's an honor to have you here. I apologize for the mix-up on the name. My name
That's
gets beat up sometimes too.
that's all right, man. It's an icebreaker for me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Welcome to Livestream
Thank
AI.
you.
Before we get into our topic today about the hidden costs of rapid scaling in fintech, could you share a little bit more about your journey and what drew you in to combine AI, robotics, and ethical innovation in your career?
Well, I started off really in the GPS space. I was one of the pioneers of commercial GPS here in the US. As you mentioned, published in the New York Times. We were developing GPS, integrating with RFID to solve many problems. Students missing on school buses. We were able to track students that were missing on school buses, cargo tracking, those kind of applications, and it spans Nigeria, Middle East, and across the globe, Brazil, where we provide services to businesses all over the place. And kind of transition from that into core software development, where I began to build the first national emergency system for Nigeria. Completed while I was working on that project around 2018. I started to get excited about AI and getting into AI. Started to formulate in my mind what this new technology is gonna do for humans, and here we are today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was enlightening. The other day, you were talking about how the kids were not making it from school to home and they were falling asleep on
Right,
the bus.
right.
And fascinating how you RFID tagged the badge of the
Yes.
student to make
Uh,
sure that they got home. That was really cool.
It was a really big problem in Georgia. In fact, in some instances, we had students that died on school buses.
Yeah, that's
In the
insane. I
summertime,
couldn't believe you said that.
yeah, in August, September, the temperature is quite high in Georgia, 90, 95 degrees. Some of these kids, elementary school kids, will fall asleep on the bus. And so if the bus driver finishes round and drive to the parking lot, doesn't check the bus, just lock up the bus, kids in the bus, 90-degree temperature, parent gets home from work at 6:30, child is not home. They're running around looking for the child. They find the child on the bus dead. And we thought this was a problem we could solve. Began the process of integrating GPS with RFID. So you put the kids at the RFID badges on. As they get on the bus, the RFID will identify, hey, kids on the bus. Kid did not get off the bus at the stop in the afternoon. RFID send message to the GPS, hey, we're at the right location, but this kid is not getting off.
That's
Boom,
fascinating. That's
everybody's
fascinating.
notified. So it was an interesting time. Launched a project in Lebanon, Dubai, and a few other places around the globe.
You've built various products across various different industries, from education to public safety to fintech. What's the common thread that ties your innovations together?
Solving problems. That's the thing. I a little bit different for me. I don't build technology for the fun of it, for the fun of building it. I try to build technology that solve problems, and I think that's
Nice.
always been my approach to technology.
Solutions oriented. I love it. You've been recognized actually as an early pioneer in GPS technology. Looking back, what lessons from that era still guide your approach to building technology today?
Well, again, I'm going to go back to the core principle, solving problems, societal problems, things that can save lives. That's always driven my approach to technology. Everything that I've done, even when I make a small foray into the social media space, it was one of the things that was driving me. And even today, as we stand in the AI space, my approach to AI is always human first and AI intelligence second. So It's always driven my approach to technology.
So I love that, and I totally agree with you. They have to have the human touch, and the AI is really your secretary, if you will.
Yes.
You've worked both at like cutting edge of technology and at the scale of national infrastructure projects. How has that shaped your leadership style?
Well, it kind of, the challenges you face in those processes kind of humble your approach to business. One, first of all, you want to be very focused on what you're doing. Um, you want to make your team, very important, share the same vision you do. That's very key. So for me, assembling a team on a project, my first approach is to make sure I'm hiring the right people. They have to share my vision. They have to share the ideas that I'm bringing to the table, or they can be part of a team. Because the first problem, look, a leader is only as good as the people around them. And so if the people around you don't share your vision, you already failed before you started.
Totally.
So that's core to even the baseline to get started on any project.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. As we circle into the topic of today about hidden costs of rapid scaling in fintech, what when fintech companies scale rapidly, they often focus on speed and market capture. From your perspective, what critical areas do they tend to overlook?
Well, you may build a product that you think is a solution, but does the customer perceive it as a solution? And that's why PMF is very critical. Do you have a product market fit?
Right.
Racing to the market without ensuring you've achieved PMF is really an ingredient for failure. And so, speed to market is important, but PMF is even more critical because that's the
Absolutely.
way to succeed. If you don't achieve PMF, forget everything that you're building. The audience is not going to be there for the product. And you can see a lot of those with a lot of startups that are raising a lot of money, then they end up folding up. The idea is great, the idea is beautiful, but have you achieved a product market fit? Is the
Absolutely.
audience there to accept that product? That's very critical.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people build things. They think the world's going to come and nobody's touching it because it didn't match what the consumer's looking for. Definitely agree.
It's not even solving a problem. See,
Right.
to me, the idea of solving a problem is fundamental to building a successful product. If you're not solving a problem, you've got to go beg people to use it. If you're solving a problem, they will come to you. You don't have to
Right.
beg.
I totally agree. You don't need to sell anything when it solves problems. I'm all about that. That's beautiful. How do you think AI and robotics can help mitigate some of the scaling pitfalls such as operational inefficiencies or security vulnerabilities?
But we got into the robotics area primarily from a software perspective. When you log into a site that requires you to do a capture or to select certain images to match, you really can't use software. You need robotics to be able to do those kind of things. So our foray into the robotics area was to be able to get around those kind of challenges when you build AI to operate. For example, you want AI to use your credit card, process payment, to charge, to manage your vacation system and all that stuff. And you go to a website that says to identify, you gotta do this capture thing. Well, you can't do that with a software. That's where robotics come in. So you can use robotic to solve those kind of issues, and that's an area that we were going into to solve those kind of problems with our software applications. But in general, we looked at doing some consumer application in the robotics area, and I'll give you one quick example, which we ultimately backed away from, was lawn care service. And we cannot pull back when we saw the challenges in the autonomous vehicle space, because that was the angle we were looking at. We're going to build these autonomous trucks with lawn care service equipment and robotics that can cut lawn 24 hours, 7 days a week, driving from one end of the city to the other, pre-programmed to manage your lawn, cut your grass, and all those things. And the autonomous vehicles were having problems, so we cannot pull back. But ultimately, What drove me to pulling back from that project was uh, my lawn care service came to my house, has a 14-year-old who goes to the same school as my son. They pull into my driveway and they're cutting the grass. And I'm sitting there going, wow, I'm about to put this guy out of business. And that was surreal. It was at that moment that I began to rethink my idea of robotics. Are we going to create robots that replace humans? And the economics still hasn't made any sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of us. And that's why you hear tech leaders talking about UBI, Universal Basic Income, because it does not make sense to them either that when everybody becomes unemployed, who's going to buy the product? And that's why we start having this conversation about universal basic income, because ultimately you have to ask yourself, if humans are replaced, who's the consumer?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the consumer? And that's what led to universal basic income. So we're still at a pivotal point where a decision's got to be made. Exactly how we're going to approach AI when you get into the area of robotics. Now, notwithstanding, there are areas where robotics makes a lot of sense. You know, in factory, automating factory production, those kind of things, farming, robotics makes sense. But when you start to replace humans on a very large scale, and you start talking about UBI, where, I mean, think for a second. Maybe we haven't given this a thought. How many people who couldn't find jobs ended up driving for Uber and any one of those hailing vehicles will become unemployed again when all of these autonomous taxi services goes into play.
Yeah, that's right. It definitely will. It's going to
We
happen.
will have some serious societal challenges to deal with, and that's why people like Elon Musk continue to push UBI, Universal Basic Income. Well, I want to see a world in which a few guys at the top are making billions of dollars and the rest of us are on a flat salary income. I want to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting how that shakeout happens. And people are definitely worried about their jobs, but I definitely don't think AI is going to replace humans in a lot of categories. It definitely will help low level things. You're very into the ethical part of AI being a big part of your leadership vision. How should rapidly growing fintech companies integrate their ethical safeguards without slowing their growth?
Guardrails, intense series of guardrails across the entire process of the AI implementation to constantly put guardrails around the AI on the do's and don'ts. And that's the only way I see it.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be minute by minute, case by case, it sounds like, because nobody
Exactly.
knows. It's all uncharted territory. What role does data quality and infrastructure readiness play in ensuring AI driven fintech platforms remain sustainable as they scale?
Data quality is important, it's critical. Because as we've always said in tech from day one, garbage in, garbage out. We talk about AI being intelligent. Think about it. AI is learning based on the data we feed it.
For sure.
If you feed AI garbage, it's going to spit out garbage. Look, a good case in point, if you look at what's been happening with Grok AI, XAI, Elon Musk, he's been spitting out the same garbage that it was fed.
Yeah, it's what he wants you to think. Exactly.
So if you feed AI garbage, AI is going to feed you garbage. It's simple as that. So data is simple as that. Data integrity is absolutely critical.
I agree.
And the worst part of it that I see is when you look at the way AI is being trained to deal with a lot of internet data. Internet data is very corruptive, isn't it? A lot
It
of
can be. Yeah,
a lot of
fake
fake
content.
information, fake news,
Hmm.
fake concept, a lot of ideas that doesn't make sense to any of us. And if that's what you feed into AI, what do you think AI is going to feed you back?
Well, it's unbelievable what could happen. It could be a
Unbelievable.
nightmare.
Yes.
So, from a risk management perspective, what's the most dangerous hidden cost you've seen emerge in fast scaling fintech environments?
I mean, it depends on which area of fintech you're in. Um, in the AI space right now, it's of course, the GPUs are very, very expensive, very, very expensive. It's one of the reasons why the Chinese created DeepSeek, because the GPUs were just too expensive, or they can't access it. So for a lot of small entities, GPU is the hidden cost. People like OpenAI bringing their costs down slowly. We expect to continue to see downward progression of the cost of delivering services from the LLM service provider, but that's one of the key hidden costs for in the AI space at least. General
Mhm.
software application, our cost of your team, managing your team is one key. Security is a very big part of the cost in delivering software to your customer.
Security is key.
Security is key. Cyber security is a very intricate part of everything that you do. Otherwise, it's just a wild, wild west out there.
That's what it feels like. Definitely. If you had to decide to design an AI powered like scaling dashboard for a fintech CEO, what would be the top three metrics that you would ensure for healthy growth?
Well, first, as a fintech, first of all, you want to make sure you have a PM. You've got your product market fit. That's the first goal. And today, it's a big problem for a lot of fintech companies to achieve PMF. If you take a step back and you look at why most fintech go out of business, it's usually about the runway.
For sure.
The runway is a fintech killer. Why? If you've got $50,000 in the bank, or say $30,000 in the bank, and you're burning $5,000 a month, your runway is only 6 months. If you don't achieve PMF and get to MVP in that 6 months, you're out of business. And that's where a lot of founders are constantly chasing VC money, angel investors, and raising capital. So for me, the first goal is achieving your PMF. And one of the things that we're doing on our side is really focus on helping startup, fintech, and SaaS company achieve PMF at scale, very fast and at scale. Because we talk about getting to the market fast and quick, but you have to do it smartly. And so what we've done, we've created what we call human AI teammates. These are not bots. These are highly intelligent human AI agents that can actually go out in the field and help you validate PMF. And they go out, they present your solution to customer, just like a real life salesperson. They probe customers' needs. They look at how your product match customers' needs. They ask questions. They gather information, critical information about your product, because we capture the conversations during the presentation. And then they handle objections to see what objection customers may be having for the product. Then they attempt to close and see what percentage of the customer that product's been presented to will actually be interested in acquiring the product. At the end of that campaign, you run what we call a sentiment analysis. So in the back end, we have what we call a curation tool that takes all of the conversation that your AI or your AI agent, human AI teammates have had with every customer that it spoke to. Now we take all of that conversation and we curate them and we mine the conversation for sentiments, decision sentiments. So in that decision sentiments, okay, which we track, we can literally tell you at what point in those conversations, what are the top three or top five decision sentiments that's causing customers to say, yes, I want to buy this product. Yes, I will use this product, or no, I'm not going to touch this product. So for a fintech or a startup, we can get you to PMF in 30, 60 days with the human AI teammate because we capture very powerful insights that help you in your decision making. So meeting PMF is critical. Being able to scale your efforts is very important, which is where the human AI teammate comes into place. And to me, those are two very important things that can help a fintech or a SaaS company really scale up very quick and very fast. And of course, you need process tools, which again comes down to AI, having process tools that can help you manage your operation, what you're doing, and track productivity internally.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Social listening to understand your customers' needs, and I love the curating of it. So it sounds like really those points are salient to make sure that you're going to be successful when you
You're gonna
scale.
be it's very critical. If you don't have that information, then you really don't know. And what it really does for a founder is your human AI teammate goes out and capture these sentiments and does this sentiment analysis, give you a summary that says, here are the reasons customers will buy, here are the reasons customers do not buy. You've got 6 month runway. And within 60 days, you're able to get that kind of information that allow you to adjust your product, make changes, and you can, and then not only do you have the ability to make those changes, now you have a contact list of customers that have said, if you did A, B, C, I will buy. Or if you do X, Y, Z, I will buy. So by the time you finish making the changes, you know precisely who's going to buy your product to get you to MVP.
Okay, thank you for joining us and sharing your perspective on scaling fintech responsibility. Your career is a reminder that innovation isn't just about speed, it's about building with purpose and foresight. For our listeners, and if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe to Labstream AI for more insights. If you've enjoyed our conversation, be sure to listen to guys like Kay, who are leaders shaping the future of AI and fintech and beyond. And until next time, keep innovating and with intention. Appreciate you, Kay.
Thank you so much, Merrick. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you.
All
Talk to
right,
you.
man. Bye.